Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Well, welcome guys to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Now, you all know how much, I need a little bit of a drum roll because our next guest is just, to me, is special because we haven't had anyone to speak about, mom products and making sure that, women have what she calls dope cruelty products for babies and for kids and for children. And I just think it's so dope that we have this incredible founder who has built a product line for moms to feel safe with their products. And I'm excited. She's out of Jacksonville, Florida. And I want to tell you all, we thought we were going to have to reschedule because there was some thunderstorms in her area, but she is here here in the studio, and we are super excited to have her to really talk about her product. So I want to introduce you all to Chelsea Lewis. She is the founder of My Mommy Wisdom. It is a super dope, cruelty-free product line for women and children. And so her reason for doing this is, she grew up immersed in the health of women and children due to her parents' healthcare profession. So she created My Mommy Wisdom, focused on products that support melanin women throughout the prenatal, postpartum, and motherhood journey. So her products provide holistic relief for skincare, teething, lactation support, hair growth, hygiene, and so much more. And Chelsea continues to champion for Black maternal health and uses her platform to connect with moms of color to better educate them about pregnancy, postpartum, childbirth, and parenting. And I am excited that she is here with us and that she's created this product because I don't think that there is enough information around postpartum for Black moms. So welcome to the show, Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I just want to start, Chelsea, and we typically do start this. Who is Chelsea as a little girl? Who was she?
Chelsea is, as a little girl, I was very talkative, which I still am. I was always, I wouldn't say getting in trouble, but I always got the side eye because I always had to speak up about something or made sure I held someone accountable. And I was also very much a hustler at a very young age. I have a funny story. I don't know if you want me to tell it.
Tell it.
Okay. My mom always says when she realized that I was going to be a business owner or some sort of entrepreneur, I actually in the 6th grade went to a weight loss camp that was a sleepaway camp for the summer. And while we were there, you have like certain preparations that you have to have because of our diets, etc. And so my mom went to like Costco and bought me like the big packs of sugar-free gum and Crystal Light, etc. And by like the 2nd week of camp, I had other camp members like buying my product that I had in my room. And my mom got a call and they were like, "Hey mom, can you please tell Chelsea to stop charging her roommates and other camp members because their parents are complaining that they have to keep sending them money." And my mom was just like, "I knew you were going to do something with business. I just didn't realize it would be this." So
when I say I love it, Chelsea, I love that, which is why it's a story because, I laugh because that was me in college. I sewed, girl, I sewed. It's crazy. I sewed oatmeal cream pies, and they were little
Mm-hmm.
Debbie's. And
Mm-hmm.
so apparently I didn't know that they were like not everywhere. I thought they were, everywhere. As a child, you don't have this? And they were like, no. And I would sell them. So I think that is so funny because literally we were out here hustling, right? We were
Yeah.
we were out here peddling. I love it. What was your favorite subject?
In school, science came really easy to me. My favorite subject was actually math, though.
Okay. Okay. I love it. Which is, I asked that question because I find that I'm wanting more and more of our listeners, whether we have young listeners, like you can start off with science. Science was actually one of my favorite subjects too. And I think that we don't, we think of science and it's like the scientists, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
don't understand that science is still very important when you're building business, like having the scientific way. And really, science is all built into your business. And I can't wait to dig into that because it really is. Like the science behind, you pushing this and going after cruelty-free products, I think is scientific. That's the way I see it. So I think it's incredible that it came easy for you. And of course, math, because you got to make money. So we know that for that. So I really want to talk about this for Black moms. I'll tell you a little bit. The reason why I was intrigued is because I had McDonald's as a client years and years ago. And, we were targeting Black moms. And we had a focus group. And this was probably about maybe a little over a decade ago. And, you know, moms did not want to be called, they didn't like the word single moms. They didn't like to be named as single moms because oftentimes, right, whether they were divorced, they didn't want to be labeled because in workplace, a single mom is negative, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't want to be called that. So, they wanted to just be busy moms, right? And busy moms. And, this was 10 years ago. And they were like, busy moms, juggling work, juggling kids because, I'm single because I'm divorced or I'm widow. It was reasons that sometimes are uncontrollable, but didn't want to literally take that, take that approach. And so, Chelsea, when I think about my mommy, wisdom, it's here. And I think about 10 years ago, the impact it could do. But obviously, we ain't talking about McDonald's anymore. But from that standpoint, I also found that many of them had talked about, postpartum. And I remember just being in a focus group, and it was almost like one of the ladies just said, oftentimes I would take my kids to McDonald's because I really didn't have the energy to cook. But she really was alluding that she was experiencing postpartum, but she didn't know it. She
Mm.
just didn't know it. It was just easy. You could go to the drive-through. And so I want to just dig in a little bit about that. Like, what does postpartum look like as a Black woman? Because I think it looks very different. I don't know. And I would love to get your thoughts about that.
Sure. I think postpartum looks different for everyone. Even in Black women, I feel like it shows up differently. So one thing I always try to tell people is postpartum, there's no deadline. You can still be experiencing postpartum 3 years after you've had your child because it's postpartum. It means after birth, after you've delivered, after you've had your baby. And it shows up in maybe a way of like grieving your past. You could be sad about, the life that you had before you became a mom, and not necessarily being upset that you're a mother, but just having not as many responsibilities, or maybe there's different things that happen in your relationship while you were pregnant that you didn't get squared away. So now it's showing up in anger or showing up in frustration or attitude. I just saw something that came across my Instagram timeline today that says an attitude is really a person in despair that doesn't know how to articulate themselves. So sometimes when people are going through things, like that mom in this example from McDonald's, she may have come across as moody or for someone who didn't know how to identify postpartum, like, oh, okay, well, she's a lazy mom because maybe she chose to go to McDonald's instead of cooking. But no, she's just a mom in despair that realized it's easier on me to get a quick fix to make sure my kids eat than it is to stop, go to the grocery store and prepare a meal. So I said all that to say that I think it shows up differently. I know for me, when I experienced postpartum depression, it showed up as like high achieving, high functioning. Like I felt like, okay, I'm a mom now. Like I need to, my kids need to know I have this and I need to work towards this and I need to accomplish that, instead of just resignating and just being content in the season. I felt like I needed to achieve more or do more. So I definitely think that it could be, viewed differently with different women.
That's good. I love that first of all, I think you're educating. And I think education is so powerful that we don't understand the impact of just educating, because it's almost as if, and I do want to ask you this, is that it's almost as if I just recall, and again, Chelsea, I'm just recalling, like when someone did say postpartum, it felt like they had a disease, like you
Mhm.
couldn't. And this years ago, I don't have kids, but I have friends who have kids, and I just recall even being in the advertising and marketing space that a young lady, she said it, but it was almost as if, and know this, and I'm speaking from this in a Black culture. I work for a Black agency, so very much Black, right? But in the space, it was like other colleagues was like, well, she's, she has postpartum. Like it was almost, it was almost as if like, and I don't know if this is culturally for us. It was almost as if like, that means what? Like she can't talk? Like she, it's just,
Or that she's going to harm herself or the baby. It definitely, yes. I had my son almost 9 years ago, so it was around that same time. And I remember when because they ask you after you have a baby, how are you feeling? But it's a checklist, and so they're like, are you experiencing headaches? No. Are you experiencing domestic violence in your relationship? No. Do you have postpartum depression? I'm going to say no, because if I say yes, then you're going to look at me crazy. But I
Mhm.
also don't think that back then we had the education to know how postpartum affects us and what it is, because I always thought it was like someone who harmed their baby, someone who didn't want to be a mother, someone who was like very angry at their child. But when I experienced it, I was like, no, I'm not mad at my baby. I may be internalizing something or mad at myself that I don't feel that I'm adequate enough to be this child's mother, etc. So it definitely, and I've had friends that said like, for them, it made them very sad or etc. So I just think it really shows up so different because we all have, unique personalities. And so it comes across, you may not show it postpartum, like you may not be crying every day, but you may be more irritable, you may be more frustrated with your friends and your family. And so like being able to identify that now, I feel like it's why it's talked about more, and I feel like why it's more support, because if your village knows like any identifying factors, then they can best support you instead of being defensive,
Yeah.
and it not helping you.
Yeah. And which is why I just absolutely love your brand. I want to talk, and thank you for just giving us education around it, because I think it just needs to be more and more, even for those that are part of the village, right? I'm part of the village. I don't have kids, but just being able to make sure that I am kind and gentle to that mom, right? Who may be experiencing, who may be on my team, who works for me, and I think it's helpful to really, I feel like things are just, now we're coming, I feel we're coming out of the woodworks, right? And we're coming out and being more, I use the word transparent in that space, but we also are realizing that we also have to be culturally sensitive. And that's, I care about that. From that standpoint, so I want to talk about super dope, cruelty-free product line, because I know it, but I want our listeners to know, what is that?
Sure. So we have about 10 products, and they're all catered toward women and children. So I say that as far as we have the categories of hair care products, skincare, feminine hygiene, and then baby care. And I really wanted to create a product line solely because when I was pregnant with my children, there were so many things that I couldn't ingest, I couldn't put on myself topically because I was pregnant. And I just felt like I still want to smell good. I still want to, look good and wear this or do that. But the items I was putting on my body had chemicals in them. So that's what was irritating me or why I couldn't use it. And same for when you have a baby. I think now there's a lot more baby products catered to like immune support and vitamins. But when I was having my kids, infants couldn't have Tylenol until they were like 2 years old or, prescribed by the doctor. So I just felt like there was not enough representation for young babies to have things on their body that was gentle and cruelty free and for melanin specific skin type. A lot of babies in the African American community deal with like skincare issues like eczema, and I felt like as much science and prescriptions have been created around eczema, so many Black babies still have it. And so it was really important for me, because both of my children had eczema, was to create products that I knew were made specifically for them that would help them with their skin or their hair texture, etc.
I think it's, and I want to say this is that, when you think about this idea of cruelty free, and I've, of course, has seen it, I found that I was like, is it animal products or is it just not being cruel to the body? So I wanted to just kind of dive into cruelty free. When you can name that, what does that mean for the products?
Sure. So it's actually a certification process that you have to go through. And every year you revisit the certification. So it essentially means that your products are not harmful to the environment, to animals, to people. You do not include chemicals. And there's a long list of all the chemicals that are in cosmetic products. But if you want to have your product as cruelty free, you wouldn't be able to use that. So for me, I'm an artisan. My background is in business. It's not in science. So I crafted my products out of my kitchen. So I don't have access to chemicals, etc., but I do body butters and essential oils. And so that's how I built my foundation of my products. And to see that it actually worked and helped not only my children, but other ones, I was like, wow, okay, we might really, have something special here to work with. So, when I opted for cruelty free, it was very intentional because I knew that I didn't use any fillers or any items like that myself with the products. And I just wanted other moms to have that comfort in knowing that when they receive an item from my Mommy Wisdom, they wouldn't have to worry about that either for their kids.
I love the thought and the intentionality in the way that you built your business. Because I think, moms need to hear from other moms. And I think when you were building this business, and I would love to ask this, is that when you were building out your business, a lot of what I'm hearing is that you created a business because you saw that there was a problem that needed to be solved for you. And you said, hey, there's other mothers, other moms that certainly could value or appreciate this. Was that the thought process when you were building out the business?
Yes, it. I definitely didn't know it was going to become a business. Um, I it actually was a blog that was I created an Instagram handle, my Mommy Wisdom, to capture my pregnancy journey with my son, so my first child, and I would because all my friends would come to me for advice because I was the daughter of an OB-GYN. So like when they were having babies or any questions, people would always say, ask your dad, ask your dad. And so I felt like the wisdom that I gained from just women's health throughout my life, and then my mom being a pediatric nurse, just like everyone always would ask my mom questions about their children. So having that wisdom was where the name came from. And then as I started to share on my blog or in my journey, some of the things I was experiencing, like postpartum shedding and hair loss, lack of breast milk production, not being able to, lactate enough for my son's appetite. Other moms started to hit me up and say, hey, like I'm experiencing that too. And so when I was crafting products, and it worked for my kids, I blogged about it. And those same moms were like, hey, could you make some for me next time? And that's how I started to get like my reviews back and started my product formulations and developments, was through real conversations with my mom friends that were telling me, hey, this is something that we're experiencing. Can you fix that? And me just always being down for a challenge was like, let me figure it out. Let's try it. So
I mean, honestly, I love it because I believe that a lot of businesses come out of personal stories. And I think those are the best businesses because you know firsthand, right? And you're serving a niche of community that is necessary, right? It's not for everybody, but it is for, somebody, right? It's just not for everybody. And I think you've definitely have figured that out. I do want to, and I say this because I got a chance to do some digging into the business, and I want to talk to you specifically, from a standpoint of like building the business and identifying influencers. Because I see you got somebody who gave you a shout out, and I want the people to know about who gave you that shout out. I want them because I'm gonna need them too, because we're gonna send them to the website and we're gonna make sure that people know who you are, and new moms can know more and more about you. But I do want, because we have a marketing company. And one of the things that we're always telling people is identifying people that can advocate for you, that can shout you out and endorse you, so to speak. So I'd love for you, if you can, share with us, a recent shout out.
The one that you're speaking with, I believe, is by LaToya Luckett.
Yes. I wanted you to say it because I was like, I'm not going to say it, but I do know it's there. So, I was doing some digging, that.
Thank you. Yeah, I had that it's not that recent, but I feel like, and I'm not just saying this, like I grew up a fan of Destiny's Child, so I just like think the world of any member from Destiny's Child, alone LaToya Luckett, because I feel like she's been such a celebrity mom that like shares her journey.
Yes.
So I was really excited. So how I approached the I guess the opportunity was, it was during COVID, and everyone was like, oh my goodness, like businesses are failing. Like, what are we going to do? And even celebrities, because they weren't able to go to shows or have tours or, work, they were trying to figure out ways to have money. So a website by the name of, I won't even say the name, but a website was created that celebrities provided shout outs, but they had to believe in whatever your statement was, whatever your mission. And so I got the chance to submit my story to LaToya Luckett, and she was just like, I'm giving you a shout out. Like, I think this is so incredible what you're doing. I love this as a mom myself. And so like my girl crush got activated. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh. So I was super excited for that opportunity. And then just for that validation, like there are even celebrities that when they have children, they're using the same products on their kids as we are. So they're, interested in these Black owned businesses just as much as, you know, regular consumers. So I've really felt like that testimony was really special coming
Yes,
from
it
her.
was. It was very special. And I too believe the same way you feel about Latoya, and being a Destiny's Child and just being very open about her journey, and again, and now raising children, single in the space as a busy mom. So I'd be careful with that. Um, but I realized that when she said it and I saw it, and I was like, it was, this authenticity is so important, especially in this mom world, right? It's like, it's so important when another mom can really reference a product or service. And so I think it was just dope. And I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, because it was, first of all, that's who she is. So it
Mm-hmm.
didn't come across you know what I mean, manufactured.
Yes.
It felt very authentic. And so when she gave the shout out, I thought it was just beautiful. Quite frankly, I thought it was beautiful because it was a Black woman to a Black woman, right? And seeing that, I thought was just beautiful. So, folks, I just want to say we've got to I know you guys are listening, so you want to know how can you learn more. Chelsea, can you provide, ways that they can connect to you, website handles about the business?
Sure, you can visit us at mymommywisdom.com. That's MYMOMMY wisdom.com. All of our social media handles are My Mommy Wisdom, and our Instagram is just a little unique. It's my.mommy.wisdom, but you'll be able to find us on all social media platforms.
Excellent. So guys, you guys heard it. And so you should really check out that shout out from Latoya. I think it is just beautiful, and it is important to be able to identify the right shout outs, influencers. Have you been working with influencers, mommy influencers to build the business? Is that one of your strategies to the business?
Yes, definitely. So I've gotten a few celebrity mommy influencers, and I feel like that was again around 2020 time. So that really helped my business. I was fortunate enough to be one of those businesses that like doubled in revenue during COVID. So since then, I've been building out like an affiliate program. And what I've noticed is there are so many influencers on Instagram, let's say. And so I I just feel like I have to set my company different because the message is different. It's just not a product line. Like I want it to feel like a village, like you're still coming and getting some sort of like education and support. So our affiliate strategy is to connect with everyday moms because if a mom likes something, she's going to tell everybody, and if she doesn't like something, she's going to tell everybody. So that's been our approach, is not necessarily seeking out influencers, but seeking out regular average day-to-day moms that have an impact in their communities or amongst their friends and peers that would not only try the product but share it with them in their communities as well.
I mean, and I love that you're creating this community. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Even for us as an influencer marketing company, I'm I struggle with that because I was not, I'm not sold on like this way of just calling out influencers, because I think we all have influence, and that's what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
We all have
Mm-hmm.
influence,
Mm-hmm.
whether I'm the mom who influences, a mom group that's 30 people, but I'm not on social media, I'm still influential, right? Or I'm not a mom, but I'm around moms and I serve as, as part of the village, right? To support the mom. And I still think that that's powerful. And I think that that's the other part, that we don't miss out, is that we're running to this influencer of like, TikTok, Instagrams. But I love that you were just saying, hey, everyday mom is still influential. And I think that that's, so powerful. So I love how you are, modeling your business in a space that I think um is not going to be, very product specific, but more community specific. And I love that. And was that And I'm going to say this too before I forget, because I wanted to say this. When I built this podcast, the biggest thing that I wanted to come out, Chelsea, was that, and I'm still working through this, is that there would be a Forbes list, but it would be a Browns for the brown businesses, Black and brown. And so it was because in 2008, when it was the financial crisis, Forbes did it was like 100 businesses that were created as a result of the financial crisis. And I felt like during the pandemic, we needed to have a Black and brown list, Forbes list, that that were businesses that were started, or businesses that, doubled in sales and tripled in sales during COVID. And it doesn't exist. And so when you say that, you just confirm why, when I was building this out and building that Black Businesses Matter, I wanted to get the attention, or the whole purpose was to get the attention, to make Forbes understand, like, Black and brown businesses matter in that list that you all publish. And when I studied the list in 2008, it was just it was a small number, but a lot of people that we have interviewed on the show were like, during COVID, we doubled or we tripled, So those stories are just not told. And I'm so glad you said it, and you said it on your own. I didn't. So I'm going to ask you this. Why do Black businesses matter?
Black businesses matter because I really feel like that is how we're going to close the generation, or generational gap, but just the wealth gap for African Americans. I mean, seeing so many, like, I was just talking to somebody, I was like, I've never heard of so many Black billionaires until the last couple of years. Like, when we were growing up, it was like Oprah, I think it was Bob Johnson. It was like, that's it. And so it always felt like so hard to achieve, but I feel like maybe I was looking at it wrong. Maybe that was motivation, because I feel like we're such creators. It's in us, in our DNA. We're going to make something out of nothing. We're going to, whatever you give us, we're going to make it better, or make it inventive, or innovative. And so I feel like that's just truly in a lot of us, which is why Black businesses matter, because we can't just rely on what we've been relying on. We have to create opportunities. We say we want to create jobs. We want to create, the dollars circulating back in our communities. And all of that starts with not only starting Black businesses, but supporting Black businesses and keeping that dollar circulated within the community.
Oh, I love that you said supporting. I just love supporting. So important, because that word support, whether that's buying, right? Advocating, speaking up, that's supporting. And I don't think we understand that level of support. It just goes far, right? It just goes so far. So I appreciate you saying that. And I mean, every time when we ask that question and they give us an answer, it just, for me, it gives me chills to know people have a different answer, but it's such a powerful answer. And so I do want to ask you this, because I realize, again, Chelsea, that Black joy is so important. And Black joy is also very valuable. And so I want to ask you, as a business owner, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy is honestly getting reviews. Like, when I hear moms share that, like, a product helped them with something that I know, even if I didn't struggle with, or know someone that struggled with, but just to hear them articulate their story and say, like, I struggle with, postpartum hair loss, and it made me, feel not confident or beautiful anymore. I took a lot of pride in my hair, but after using your products, my hair has restored, and now I feel confident again. Or if their baby skin was maybe discolored from eczema, but then the cream that they're using from us has helped in some way, and now it's like, to me, it gives me chills, because again, when I started my company, I was just starting to find something for my babies, and I just feel like it's so amazing how a mother's love could, like, go beyond like herself, because I really just was thinking about, Callie and Arian, getting them situated. But I'm grateful that other moms have entrusted me and my products and, welcome my mommy wisdom into their household, because it shows that, moms are going to look after moms, and who better to make stuff for our children than another mom. So I feel like that gives me the most joy, is just hearing how our products have worked for different people. And no matter how many times I hear it, it still feels like the first time.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I don't think I've ever heard, like, that brings you joy. So like when you see that review, it's just like, is it a feeling of like, is it exhilarating? Is that the feeling? And I will compare like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, someone just called me out. Like, is it that kind of feeling that you have?
it, it's almost like kind of like say if you really wanted something for Christmas, and then, or let's say you weren't expecting anything, and then you got like something you really wanted. So like I never just it's just me. It's because business owners, were so hyper focused. I never expect reviews. So whenever I get them, I'm just like, oh wow, like someone still feels this way after 5 years. Like, this is a new customer and they still feel this way. Like, or they shared it with a friend. Like, to me, it just feels exhilarating but purposeful, because we always say like, I don't know my purpose or what's my purpose, but I do feel like growing up, I always wanted to help people. And like my mom would tease me. She used to be like, I don't know how you're going to do that and still make money, baby, because helping people going to make you broke. And I used to always be like, no, mommy, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. And so I feel like this is like my purpose, is I'm helping, and I'm doing something positive. So anytime I receive feedback from that, it just gives me like all the feels. Like I get all emotional and misty eyed, because I'm like, wow, my little stuff, that my little concoctions, did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's important. I'm so glad you said that, because I think people, listeners all around the world, need to hear how important it is to have a positive review. Um, and I think, I mean, nobody wants to hear
Right.
non-positive, but the fact that it brings you joy, I think, because sometimes, people get busy and they don't do it.
Mhm.
And it's funny because, I'm intentional. Like if I get good service, I'm like, let me sit down. I want to write. I want to tell this story. I want to acknowledge the person that served me, and I think it's that feeling like, oh my gosh, they said they were going to do it and they did it. And so it means a lot. So I'm just telling our listeners out here, like, hey guys, hey, give that review. Don't leave it if it was positive. And give it the same kind of energy you give negative, right? Because sometimes, Chelsea, I think that's it. The negative, we're like,
Yes,
I'm going to write in, but
exactly.
that
We
same,
receive more, yes. Not that we receive
right.
more negative, but we acknowledge
Correct.
more negative. Yeah.
Correct. I totally get it. So, Chelsea, I want to definitely, as we close, I would love for you to give 3 tips, because you started the business somewhat during COVID, right? A little bit before COVID, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Before.
And so I want, you to share like 3 tips, given where we've come from, right? Well, let me say where you were, then coming out of COVID, I'm sorry, experiencing COVID, like with a new business, and then coming out of COVID. What tips would you like to share to help someone who has an existing business, want to launch a business, I think, so that people can understand, kind of the ebbs and flows, because that's really what happened, from it.
Mhm.
If you can provide 3 tips.
Sure. The first tip would be to educate yourself on every facet of your industry, because a lot of times when people start businesses, they have the specialty and that's all they're focused on, but they're not thinking about expansion. They're not thinking about what's going to happen if your inventory catches on fire, just random things. Just really do your research, because of course, uh lessons are the best teacher, but a lot of things we can prevent the more that we read. So I would definitely say do a lot of research within your industry, because I always say when you start a business, you don't start to fail. So you want to have a business that's going to, run its course and be a business that's successful for years and years. The second thing I would give advice to, or a tip, is finding out when your peak seasons are and when your slow seasons are. Every single industry, I don't care what it is, has high seasons of demand and low seasons. And for most business owners, they struggle because they are doing so well during peak season and they don't prepare for the lower seasons, and they freak out, or they go bankrupt, or they haven't purchased enough inventory, etc. So understanding that you probably are going to have to go twice as hard during your peak season so that your slower season is comfortable is something that I would say I wish a lot more business owners know. And then the third thing is stay focused on the mission and why you started, because starting isn't as hard as sustaining. And I started my business in 2018. COVID, nobody even knew COVID was going to happen. So like the business was already doing well. But in 2020, when sales like doubled, I wasn't prepared for that, because I think sometimes we self-consciously only prepare for like bad things to happen, but like I wasn't prepared for what that looked like. And then also I wasn't prepared for everybody's at home. That's why they're online. That's how they find, their phones are in their hands. That's how they found out about your business. But what happens when they go back outside? What happens when the world opens up? So understanding like the ebbs and flows and peaks, and being able to pivot. A lot of times where, we don't want to adapt and adjust to change, but it's definitely necessary. And you could feel, at times like, oh, I don't know if this is worth it. But if you stay focused on why you started, you'll always find motivation to continue.
That's excellent, God. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm over here like, all of that was like incredible tips. Like I'm sitting here like, yes, yes, yes. Like over here, yes. Like listen, sisters. Like listen, and brothers. Like she just literally gave us 3 tips that I think would be, I'm just listening from, would be transformative. So as we close, Chelsea, this has just been such a joy to have you. I would like for you to share your handles, your website again, and anything that you have special that you want to share with our listeners.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a joy. Again, you can find our products at mymommywisdom.com. We are also available on walmart.com, Amazon. So if you're already on those platforms shopping, go ahead and add us to your cart too. And on all social media platforms, it's mymommywisdom.com. As far as what we have in the works coming up, there will be, if you sign up for our newsletter, you will have insight on a sale that we're having towards the end of the month. So if you want to try the products out and get a discount, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter on our website and you'll be able to.
Try it out and get a discount. I like that, Chelsea. I like that. That's winning. That's winning. And guys, you all know, as I share with you all, the importance of making sure that we support Black products, businesses, service, you name it. And so this is another one that you should put on your list. Maybe you don't have it. Maybe you're the grandmother. Maybe you're the grandfather. Maybe you're the auntie. Maybe you're the uncle. But, being intentional with helping that new mom, or a mom that's having a second child. So being intentional around that when it comes to Christmas, when it comes to, comes to Mother's Day, all these holidays happen every year. And so there's an opportunity for you to put, my mommy wisdom on your list, as something that you can, help a mom or help a friend or help a loved one out. So giving it to you guys. I just want to say thank you so much, Chelsea. This has just been such a joy to learn about you and just continued success with you in this and it's not even products. I love that you said in this community that you are creating for moms. I think it is dynamite. And I just do. I'm somewhat speechless because for someone who is not a mom, but I'm around it, I just think it's just powerful. So
Thank
kudos to
you.
you for that. And I just want to say, listeners, thank you guys for listening, for tuning in and rocking with us. We just got so much to share this whole new season. And so we so much is brewing. So just keep sticking with us, keep rocking with us, leave a review. And you know what? We're still looking for guests. So if you think you should be on the show, send something in on us. And we'll be able to decide if you would be a great fit. But we just want to say thank you guys for rocking with us. And thank you, Chelsea. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Thank you
Thank
guys.
you for having me. Bye-bye.
Have a great week. Thank you. And thanks for tuning in to Black Businesses Matter.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.